I finished watching the movie Raya and the Last Dragon yesterday. Who's here has seen Raya and the Last Dragon? Yeah, most of you? Okay, so if you haven't seen it, spoiler alerts. Okay, so just picture 500 years ago, we had these magical dragons living in the land of Kumandra with the people. Everyone was in harmony, except the people, they started getting in fights with each other. And eventually, what were these dark black clouds that came? Someone can yell it out. What are they called? Droons, yeah. These dark black clouds of evil came and they turned people into stone. Okay, so the dragons, they were being overwhelmed by the droons, and so they decided to give all of their magical power to one dragon, Sisu, right? So then, fast forward 500 years later, we see the land of Kumandra. It's divided into 5 nations, and the legend of Sisu is just something no one really believes anymore. But the magical gem that they'd given is in the land of Heart, right? So that's where we meet the main character, Raya, and her father, Chief Benja. They have the responsibility to guard the gem. And Raya's dad tries to bring the 5 nations together. He makes the first move, okay? He makes this act of love to the other 5 nations to try to bring everyone together to unite. And Raya, too, she follows her dad. She makes the first move. She brings this girl, Namari, into the area where the magical gem is. And Namari betrays her, right? And it's really tragic. And then we see the magical gem break into 5 pieces, and the Droons return, and they start turning thousands of people, like Raya's father, into stone. So eventually, Raya goes on this quest to try to bring all the 5 pieces back together. And I really love that on her quest, she meets the magical dragon, Sisu. And this is what Raya says to Sisu: "The world's broken, you can't trust anyone." And Sisu responds, "Maybe it's broken because you don't trust anyone." And as many of you know, the central theme to the movie is about trust. But it's not just about trusting everyone. It's not about trusting everyone. Are you supposed to trust every single person? No. Some people will betray your trust. But there's one person you're supposed to trust, and that's the lesson that we learn in this movie. So Raya, who does she trust? She trusts in the message of her father, Chief Benja, and she trusts in Sisu, okay, in this act of self-sacrificial love. And it's a beautiful final scene where Raya ends up giving over her precious gem in this act of sacrificial love to Namari, and then the rest of the 5 people as well. Remember, they give over all their gems to Namari, and they're turned into stone. They give this great act of love. They sacrifice themselves. And in doing so, what happens to Namari? At first, she wants to run away with all the gems. And then she turns back and she sees this act of sacrificial love, and it's a conversion moment in Namari's heart. And that is the essential kind of point of the movie, is that there's this act of sacrificial love that she witnesses, and it converts her life. And so it's the same thing that we see in today's first reading. I wish we could visualize what's actually happening here, is that here are these 3 people. Do they trust King Nebuchadnezzar? No, he throws them into the furnace. He's not worthy of their trust at all. But it says here that they trusted in God. They trusted in God's plan, and they survived. And they converted King Nebuchadnezzar and everyone else who saw that scene. They started worshiping God. And so it's the same thing for us. If there's one lesson we can all learn from Raya and the Last Dragon is that we can trust in Jesus and then we can love our enemies, okay? Often we might think we have to trust our enemies and we have to hope that they change their ways, but the only way that you can truly change someone's soul is by loving them. And the only way that you have power to love someone is by trusting in Jesus. Because Jesus, when you look at the cross, he sets the model for us. Jesus shows us this great act of sacrificial love. When you look at a cross, it's like he's turned into that image of stone that you saw in the movie. But we know that that act of sacrificial love eventually pays off. It eventually brings the entire nation together. And so it's a beautiful story about the importance of trusting in God, who knows the big plan for us. And when we trust in God, that means that we can love absolutely anyone. And that's what brings everyone together.
Just to make sure everyone gets at least what I believe to be the main message of Raya and the Last Dragon, it's, Raya didn't trust anyone. But she needed to learn how to trust in her father, Chief Benji, and also in Sisu. She had to trust their message. And that allowed her to love her enemy. It's the same thing with us. We need to learn how to trust Jesus. And when we trust him, that allows us to be able to love absolutely everyone. So I encourage you to allow this movie to inspire you to love other people. Everyone has a Namari in their class, someone that you might not get along with. But Jesus, when you trust him, his plan for your life, that allows you to love absolutely everyone in your class. That allows you to love everyone that you can see. So trust Jesus and love your enemies, okay?